The World Cup, argued by many fans, players and pundits as the most important and significant trophy possible to win in sports. Only around once every 4 years, the World Cup for a month of the calendar year it takes place takes all the major headlines in all the major news networks. The World Cup has seen amazing history and records set along its illustrious time period, but who are those players and managers or teams who hold the most significant and record-breaking records? This is the football franchise, and this is the World Cup by the numbers. In total, there have been 21 World Cups, with up to this point 79 different countries competing in the tournament, in which only 8 countries have ever won the prestigious award. Those 8 teams are Uruguay, who won the first ever World Cup, Italy, Germany, Brazil, England, Argentina, France, and Spain. The 2022 World Cup will see the 80th ever participating country in the World Cup, with Qatar hosting and subsequently competing. Of these countries, 5 winners come from Europe and 3 from South America. This history doesn't bode well for countries from other continents who have failed to win the coveted prize. Of all the 21 wins, 6 times the country hosting has won the tournament, which may be good news for Qatar, as in recent years host countries have had some really great years, with Russia having a good year in 2018 and Brazil in 2014 reaching the semi-final. And even South Korea, who hosted alongside Japan, became a World Cup phenomenon, reaching the semi-final. Of all the 8 countries to win the World Cup, Brazil sit on the throne with the most World Cups with an amazing 5, with Germany and Italy in second with 4 World Cups apiece. However, Italy won't have the opportunity to tie Brazil, failing to qualify for the 2022 World Cup. Though Germany have 4 World Cup wins under their belt, they are as equally as bad, in the final being the team to lose the most finals with 4 losses. This also translates to the semi-final. Though a consistently great team, Germany get far in tournaments. They also have the most losses in the semi-final, losing in 6. When it comes to the quarter-final, this is where England's run usually comes to an end, having been eliminated in the most quarter-finals, which has occurred on 8 different occasions. Defending champions France will have a difficult task defending their title, as in the long history of the World Cup, only twice have countries managed to win back-to-back World Cups, with Italy winning back-to-back in 1934 and 1938, and then Brazil in 1958 and 1962. Of all the teams to compete the most to never win the World Cup, that distinction goes to Mexico. With 17 appearances at the World Cup, the furthest they have ever gotten is the quarter-final. The teams who have gotten the furthest and have never won the World Cup are 5 different countries, reaching the final but never winning, being Sweden, Hungary, the Czech Republic, the Netherlands, and most recently in the previous World Cup, Croatia. The Dutch hold the unfortunate distinction of losing in the final 3 times with 0 wins, being the World Cup's perennial big-time losers. The final played the most is Argentina versus Germany, who have played each other in 3 separate finals, with Germany having 2 wins over Argentina in the final. For players, one man stands head and shoulders above everyone else in the tournament, that being Pelé, with the Brazilian having the most World Cup medals with an astonishing 3. However, the second World Cup he would win, he would spend most of the tournament on the sideline due to an injury suffered in the second game of the 1962 tournament. Pelé also has the distinction to be the youngest player ever to play in the final and win it at 17 years old. On the other end of the spectrum, Dino Zoff is the oldest player to play in the final and win, with the goalkeeper being 40 in Italy's 1982 World Cup win. 3 players have the iconic distinction of playing in the most tournaments at 5. Antonio Carvajal and Rafael Marquez of Mexico have played in 5 tournaments, alongside Lothar Matthäus for Germany, who played in 5 tournaments, with the German being the all-time appearance maker at the World Cup with 25 appearances. The list of playing in 5 tournaments will be joined by 2 GOATs, Messi and Ronaldo, who will play in their 5th World Cup respectively in Qatar. Though Lothar Matthäus has the most appearances at the World Cup, it is legendary Italian defender Maldini with the most minutes played at the World Cup, with 2,217 minutes played in total. When it comes to appearances in the World Cup final, only one man has played in 3 finals, and that is Cafu, winning 2 of the 3 he has played in 1994 and 2002, however coming runner-up in 1998. When it comes to wins in the tournament, Miroslav Klose has the most wins, winning 17 matches he has played in. Miroslav Klose also holds the record for the most goals in the tournament's history, with the Germans scoring a total of 16 goals across 4 tournaments. Just Fontaine in 1958 for France has the most goals in a single tournament with 13. Just Fontaine also has the most hat-tricks at the tournament with 2, which is tied with 3 other players. Sandor Kostis for Hungary, Gerd Müller for Germany, and Gabriel Batistuta for Argentina. Laszlo Kiss has the fastest hat-trick, coming on as a substitute against El Salvador, scoring a hat-trick in 8 minutes. 4 players have scored in 4 different tournaments, them being Pele, Uwe Seller, Gerd Müller and Cristiano Ronaldo. However, it is rival Messi who holds the statistic of being the only player to score as a teen in his 20s and in his 30s. However, to score in his 40s, he will have to play another 8 years, as for the next World Cup after Qatar, he'll be 39. If he can achieve this crazy longevity and score in his 40s, it could see him become the oldest goal scorer at the tournament, which is currently held by Roger Milla of Cameroon, who was 42 years old when he became the oldest player to score at the World Cup. The youngest goal scorer to ever score at the tournament takes us back to Pele in 1958, who at 17 years and 244 days of age is the World Cup's youngest goal scorer, and 5 days after, he would become the youngest player to score a hat-trick at the World Cup. Then 2 days after that, he would become the youngest person to ever score in the final. Pele is one of 4 players tied as having the most goals in World Cup finals, scoring 3 with 2 against Sweden and 1 against Italy in the final. Brazil legend Vava scored 3 across 2 finals, scoring 2 against Sweden in 1958 and 1 against Czechoslovakia. Zidane joins the illustrious company, scoring 2 against Brazil and 1 against Italy in the final. However, only one man has scored a hat-trick in a World Cup final, and that is Sir Geoff Hurst, who scored a hat-trick in England's only World Cup win in 1966, which they won 4-3, making him one of 4 players to score 3 goals in the final of a World Cup. In terms of goalkeeping, the most clean sheets are held by Peter Shilton and Fabian Barthez, both tied with 10. However, it is Italian goalkeeper Walter Zenga who has the record for going the most amount of minutes without conceding a goal, which he lasted 517 minutes without conceding a goal in 1990. The least goals conceded in a tournament is tied amongst 3 goalkeepers, only conceding 2 in the whole tournament, with Fabian Barthez in 1998, Gianluigi Buffon in 2006 and Iker Casillas in 2010. The most saves in a single match is held by American Tim Howard in 2014 when USA faced Belgium. When it comes to saving penalties, 2 players have saved the most penalties excluding shootouts, Jan Tomaszewski of Poland and another American, Brad Friedel in 2002. When it comes to the penalty shootout, the most penalties saved in one penalty shootout is tied with 2 goalkeepers, Ricardo versus England in 2006 and Daniel Subasic for Croatia versus Denmark in 2018. The youngest goalkeeper to ever save a penalty in a game in regular time and a shootout is Iker Casillas for Spain, who was 21, who would save a penalty in normal time versus the Republic of Ireland and would also make a save in the shootout in the same game. The oldest person to play at the World Cup is Essam El Hadri, who was 45 when saving a penalty versus Saudi Arabia in 2018, making him the oldest goalkeeper to save a penalty at the tournament. However, in terms of the oldest goalkeeper to make a save in the shootout, that distinction goes to Jens Lehmann for Germany versus Argentina in 2006. When it comes to Argentina, they unfortunately have the person who has received the most cards at the World Cup with 7 cards, and that is Javier Mascherano. However, they would all be yellow cards, with the Argentine never seeing a red. However, in terms of the most red cards in the World Cup, is tied amongst 2 players, with both of them getting 2 red cards in the tournament's history. The first is Rigobert Song for Cameroon, and the other Zinedine Zidane, who got his most famous red card in the 2006 final against Materazzi, which would be his final game of his professional career. In terms of the most cards in a single game, it is tied with 2 games, with both games having 16 cards dished out. Cameroon versus Germany in 2002 would receive the distinction, with both teams receiving 7 yellows and 1 red respectively. This is tied alongside one of the most infamous and legendary World Cup games, dubbed the Battle of Nuremberg, Portugal versus Netherlands, which would see Portugal get 9 cards, 7 yellows and 2 red cards, and Netherlands 5 yellows and 2 reds, which also sees it hold the record for the most red cards in a single game at the World Cup. These 2 teams also have the record for most cards a single team has received, with Portugal getting 9 in the previously mentioned game. However, Netherlands would get 9 cards in their World Cup final loss in 2010, receiving 8 yellows and 1 red. When it comes to the managers of every team to ever win the World Cup, they were also the nationality of the country they managed. with no managers of a different nationality managing a different country of where they are from and ever succeeding at winning football's biggest prize. Only one manager holds the distinction of winning more than one World Cup, and that is Vittorio Pozzo of Italy, winning back-to-back in 1934 and 1938. Helmut Schön of Germany has managed the most games at the World Cup with 25, and also has the most wins as a manager with 16, none more famous than the final winning the tournament in 1974, in which Franz Beckenbauer would captain Germany and lift the trophy. Beckenbauer would 26 years later manage Germany to a World Cup victory, being one of 3 people to win the World Cup as a player and a manager, alongside Mario Zagallo of Brazil and Didier Deschamps of France, who is entering this World Cup as defending champion and is wanting to break some amazing records on this list. What about this World Cup? What are some of the significant stats and numbers surrounding it? Well, it is going to be the first World Cup to be held in the winter due to concerns regarding the climate surrounding Qatar in the summer. It is also the first World Cup to be held in the Middle East and the second in the continent of Asia. It is also going to be the first World Cup to be played back-to-back with the Euros, as due to a global pandemic which stopped football, Euro 2020 was played in 2021. The most significant number of this World Cup, however, is 6,500, as this is the estimated death toll of migrant workers since the World Cup was awarded to Qatar, putting a black mark over the tournament which can't be forgotten. The 22nd edition of the World Cup is definitely going to be a strange and unique World Cup for many reasons, and will differ significantly from previous tournaments. For England fans, it is the first time a World Cup will feature England's ruling monarch being a king. It has seen a country removed from qualifying due to invading another country. USA fans will watch along their 47th president as their team tries to replicate the success of their women's team. The number 18 is the number we will end on, as this is the day of the final being played on December 18th. It will be this year's most viewed sporting event by a landslide, and an opportunity for a player to take the headlines and write themselves and their country they represent into history. Did you enjoy the video? Let us know down in the comments below. What are some of the most amazing stats and statistics you know about the World Cup? Leave them down in the comments. Who are you supporting at this World Cup, and who do you think will win? Let me know down in the comments below. Leave a like, it helps more than you can imagine, and subscribe if you enjoyed the channel. Thank you very much for watching and have a wonderful day.